everybody. We have with us today an artist from Batavia High School. Her name is Tanner Fleury, and she is going to talk to us about Rock the Runway, which is an art event at the high school that happens every year, and it's kind of a cool art form. It relates to our One Book One Rotolo, the seventh most important thing, because their artwork uses different types of materials, and they have to kind of show how those materials, what the meaning is behind them. So welcome, Tanner, to Rotolo Middle School.
Hi.
All right, so we're going to start with our first question. Can you explain Rock the Runway for us?
So Rock the Runway is a fashion show we do at the high school, and the only restriction is that you cannot use fabric. So you can use anything like plastic, paper, and it's just basically a wearable art fashion show, and it's very unique and different, and it's very fun.
All right, it is fun. I've seen it multiple times, and it's just crazy, like some of the materials that they use. So how would you describe this kind of art? Is it like sculpture, or what kind of art would you think, how would you describe it?
This type of art I would classify as just like as a whole 3D art because you can have sculptures because there's two different categories. Accessories, sometimes there can be sculptures, wearable sculptures, and things like that. So honestly, it's a mix of bunch of different types because everyone specializes or likes a certain type of art, and that's usually what inspires them to make their piece. So there's many different types of art in this, but it's just classified as probably 3D art, wearable art.
All right, good. All right, so what kind of skills do you need to do this kind of art, do you think?
One of the skills you should have is be good at problem solving. Not everything is gonna go okay on the first try, especially when you're using materials that might not be used for fabric to substitute it. And so, I mean, stuff will break. A lot of stuff happens like the last day or the day of the show, and you are trying to come up with a solution to make sure your piece can walk the day of. And so, as long as you're creative and you are like have good perseverance and good problem solving skills, this should be easy for you.
All right, good. So would you like you would have to have some sort of, can you give an example of something that maybe went wrong where you had to problem solve?
Um, so, in the back of my dress, there is two sheets, shower curtains, and they're supposed to connect. And they kept separating and separating. So I ended up just taping it and gluing it and gluing it and taping it. And then it ended up working out because I ended up laying a flower over it. But that's also, you need to have extra materials the day of because most things, something will fall off of your dress, most likely.
Right, cool. Yeah, I agree. Like most artists, you have to be a problem solver in order to make it look the way that you want it to, and that's really an important skill. So how do you build these skills? Is it at school, or do you like other things, like as far as like I look at your dress, did you learn how to kind of mold a rose? I don't know, what is your dress made out of?
My dress is made out of foam flowers. And so I bought a bunch of like wedding foam flowers and then deconstructed them and then kind of remade them almost to be the certain type of flower I kind of wanted. But
Okay, but like when you're in art class, so I mean, what are some skills that you would learn from art class that might be helpful for to create something like this?
in art classes that I take at the high school, their big thing is that you kind of collaborate with your teacher and with other students because you want to get tips or critiques to make your artwork better. And I've learned to take the constructive criticism and really put it into my work because at the end of the day, having more eyes on your piece really helps the final product.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's the hardest thing to take, is like for anything, even if you're doing writing or any type of work where there's going to be other people who are going to have some sort of a connection with it, you do want to hear what other people, how they perceive it, and what you could do to improve it somehow. So that's once you learn that, then you're much better off than being defensive about
Yeah.
what people might say about your stuff. So yeah, that's a truly important skill too. So problem solving and taking feedback. Awesome.
Mm.
Um, so can you explain, like, there's usually a theme with Rock the Runway,
Mhm.
and how do you come up with ideas based off of the theme?
So I like to create create a story and use storytelling through my piece. So once I get a theme, I try to think of a scenario or a story to go along with it. So, like last year's show, it was Bloom. And so I took that as like growing up, coming of age, someone who starts off as the same as everyone else and then grows into the person they become. And I try to use the theme to really, really direct what I'm going to put out on the runway show so that I really get the theme across.
All right, that's good. I like yeah what you're saying about how you tie in what you're making with the theme. Um, what do you hope to communicate with your art going forward? Like, if you were going to, like, you weren't given a theme, what are some things that you would like to communicate to other people with your art?
I like to tackle like more pressing issues like mental health, nature issues like global warming. I in my other pieces of art that I've done at the high school, I've focused on a more like not talked about topics because I really wanted to express what most people can't say with words, and so I really try to focus on giving off a powerful emotion in my art so that you feel it.
That's great. So, are you more of a sculpture person or are you a 3D person?
I'm actually more of a 2D. Drawing and painting is more of my forte.
So, this is kind of a stretch for you when you do this activity, right?
Yeah, it's
Um, what are what are some of the items that you've used with your dresses? Not just, I know I see you've explained that dress,
mm.
but last year, what are some other things that you have used?
So last year was nostalgia, and I used paper and rolled it into cones for the skirt, and then on top I had just plastic leaves to cover it, and underneath I like to use a shower curtain as a skirt because it works almost like cloth, and so that's one neat thing that I use. And then for my accessory this year, I used a lot of things because they were wings, and the underneath everything was a metal wire fence, and then I cut out the shape of the wings, and then I laid separate wire to get a curl to the wings so they hold, and then I completely duct taped the whole thing, and then I put plexiglass in the middle to support it to have a support system so you can wrap it around your arms. And then I laid it completely covered in coffee stir straws, which are very tiny, but they have a good effect with the light and it shines and kind of shimmers when it hits the stage. So it's really cool.
Right, so you kind of have to think about like all kinds of different items that you can use and how they might be seen. Do you want to show us more of your dress that you have behind us, or is there any way to like kind of like move the
Let's see. Um, so
you can kind of move the camera a little bit.
I'll try to more. And then you go down into a pink, and then you keep continuing down, and then it turns into this color, deep color.
Wow.
And it's shorter in the front with longer in the back, and it has an opening here.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. And throughout the whole thing, it has sparkles around it just so you can really see the detail and everything that is throughout the dress.
All right. All right, cool. I look forward to seeing that. That's for sure. All right. Well, Tanner, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to relay to our Myrtola Middle School students?
Um, just saying, like, if you're interested in art at all, even if you're not, don't specialize in 3D because I don't specialize in 3D. But doing this is just a way to express your art. And honestly, if you have any creative juices or anything, you'll be able to do this. And it's such a welcoming family there that we all support each other. And it's just a great experience. So I totally recommend trying it out when you get to the high school. It's really fun.
Okay, awesome. And like I want to reiterate too is that how the theme that in the Rock the Runway, how you really have to, like you said, problem solve and use materials that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, but you have to kind of make them have meaning. And that's again what's happening in the book that we're reading as well. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I'm so glad for
Sure.
having me.